Alright, we're back with the HT wagon. In this episode, we're going to get the engine and trans into the beast. Alright, so after you have your car, purchase an engine and transmission, next step, order yourself an LS kit. Jump online, jump on the phone, but for us guys here, we have the luxury just to duck at the store and pick our own. Alright, so we're back in the workshop. We've got our LS kit. Step number one is to change the sump. So what we've done is we've changed our sump over, but to make it easy for you guys to see what we do, we've got a dummy up engine here. We've fitted the old sump, and I'll run you through a few steps about changing it over. Right, so obviously step one's to drain the oil out of your sump. Ours is obviously upside down, so it's done. Remove your dipstick. Obviously remove all your bolts out of your sump. So next, we have to remove the baffle and the pickup. Right. Remove your pickup. Obviously make sure your O-ring comes out, but the new pickup has a new O-ring, so make sure it does come out with it. Disregard the pickup. Right, so factory baffle removed. And this is a very important part. The dipstick now goes into the side of the block. Now every LS has a provision in here for the dipstick option. Punch, hammer, a little bit overkill, but slightly tap it. Now with your engine it'll be facing the other way, so it will fall out. So the little bung there, the little cap, just taps out so gently. Right, so factory baffle out, plug out for the dipstick. Over to the rod shop kit. Item number one, the baffle. Baffle down. Bolt in, torque him back down, factory settings. Alright, rod shop baffle is done up. We have left one nut off. Now that's on the opposite side to the pickup tube, leaves the thread bare, so that we can put the new pickup tube down on there and we'll nip it up at the end. Also with your pickup tube, use your factory bolt, so keep that. Now in the rod shop kit here, we have the new pickup, brand new O-ring. Now just make sure the O-ring is seated here nicely on the pickup. Very important that when we do slide it down in here, make sure it goes in nice and square and drops in really easily. So if it does, flip it over the stud, finger tighten the nut on there only just for a start to hold it in position. Get our little 10mm bolt. Now this is very important. If it doesn't seat correctly, the O-ring, you're not going to get oil pressure, your pump won't pick up and you're going to have dramas, then the engine's coming back out to go again. So make sure it's nipped up properly. O-ring end first, tightened up. Then we'll whip around this side, do our last nut up. Righto, so Welsh plugs knocked out for the dipstick, baffle's on, pickup tube's on. In the kit's a brand new gasket. Now we're going to dry fit the gasket, but you can put a little dollop of gasket maker, elastic, whatever you choose on each corner there to help it seal up. Rod shop's up, just sit it down on there gently. And then in the kit, we have our little bolt bag, Allen key heads. Throw them round, nip them up evenly, and away you go. Righto, we're here with our engine mount, about to fit it up. There's only one little trick to this. When fitting it for the HK HT we need to use the front series of holes. If you go to the front series of holes, our engine mount is hitting our alternator bracket. So we'll remove the alternator bracket, mount the engine mounts on both sides, and we shouldn't have a drama. Now the camera should zoom in. On our engine mounts here, we'll have a P and a D. Obviously the P is your passenger, the D is your driver. So when fitting, if you're unsure, look for the stamping on there, self-explanatory. Like I said, bracket removed, then we'll get the engine mount bolted on. Right, just a little hint to make life easy, fitting the engine mount. There is one bolt a little bit tight. Make sure you put him in first. So all it takes, little wiggle, pops in, do that bolt up first. Just make sure we tighten the engine mounts on both sides. Now the holes are slotted on the block, so you have a couple of mil of movement forward and back. If you need to, you can back the bolts off, slide the engine back and forth, just to give yourself a little bit better clearance. Just finishing off the driver's side, same as the passenger side. Get that hard to get little bolt in first, nip them all up, make sure it's really tight, then we'll whip down, we'll bang a transmission mount on. So with the trans mount, we use our factory bolts, same ones that were on the factory mount. Gearbox mount out of the kit, same thing. Dropped it. Same thing as the engine mount, they're a little bit tight in there, but if you do them up nice and even, you'll have plenty of room. Alright, so with the gearbox mount, just mount it central on here, gently nip it up, and now it's time to put it back in. Alright, when your engine and trans is out, engine bay's empty, step number one when putting an OS in, you must remove your wiper motor. Get on the HK HT stuff on Facebook, they sell a relocation kit. It fits the wiper motor to the inside of the dash, or under the firewall. All you need to do before you're in there, guys, is check the shaft. There's two variations on the shaft of the wiper motor. There's a D shaft or a double D shaft. Having a look on here, we either have a D or double D. Now that is a double D shaft that has two flat sides on there. So jump online, order the double D shaft setup for the relocation kit. When fitting the LS and 4L60, there is some body modifications that will need to be done. There's nothing major. As you can see here, I put a dummy block and dummy trans in it. You look down right down here, you will have to bend your lip back. As you can see, the transmission is in, but I do not have enough room to put them out. So it is very close to the brake. So we will have to do a little notch out there. But just make sure you check with the engineer before cutting up your car. We've tapped the lip over now. It is time to cut the cross member up. Now remember, always consult with your engineer before doing any modifications on the vehicle, and every vehicle will be a little bit different. Righto, so for the first fitment of engine and trans, we've gone to slide it in. A slight issue we've come across is the transmission dipstick is touching the firewall. So we'll just undo the bracket, bring it across to the side, and then we'll rectify that later on. Right, so the engine mounts have got the bolts through them. We'll release the crane. We have a jack under the transmission, so I'll slide underneath, bolt the gearbox cross member up, lift it up on the hoist, and we'll check for clearance. Now we'll just run over it quickly just to make sure we have 10 mm clearance. There's a couple of little issues. I'll show you through them, we'll mark them out, whip it back out, tap them up, and we'll give us our 10. So if we just quickly go over it, start at the sump, check for our clearance in the sump. I mean, I can get my fingers up there, so we've got plenty of room. There's plenty of room around the steering, so it works really well there. Where we've tapped the lip up, there's amples of clearance there. Now on the driver's side at the back, with the cutout, worked really well. So the boys have done a nice cutout there. But as we move around to the passenger side, we are a little bit tight. So if you look up through the gap up into here, we only have about 5 mm clearance. So we'll just mark that and we'll take another 5 mm out. So let's just take the minimum out only, so 5 mm will be. And a couple of spots is only an air gap. So we've got a lump off the transmission. We'll just tap the tunnel up. Inhibitor switch here on the shifter. It only has an air gap. We'll tap that up. And there's one more little lump here on the casting there. We'll just tap the floor up. It only has 5 mm, so we only need a couple more mils. So we'll mark these out, we'll lift it out, we'll tap them up, we'll trial fit again, and then after there we should be able to try the exhaust. Alright, so engine trans come out, a couple little taps round, a slight little cut at the rear in the brace. Check it out, we've got plenty of clearance there now. engine and trans is back out. We'll finish the last of the modifications underneath and then we'll sit it back in. Right, engine and trans is in, clearances are really good. Now that'll be a wrap for episode 2. If you'd like to know where we get any non-made rod shop product in this video, please check links below. Thanks for watching, see you episode 3.